Joe Morse. You are listening to the History of Aviation podcast with Derrick Beeler, David Rowe, and David Gorman. This episode of the History of Aviation podcast is brought to you by True Comfort Heat and Air. Veteran-owned and operated True Comfort Heat and Air. More information in the description below. Welcome to the History of Aviation podcast, the podcast that takes you on a journey through the evolution of aviation, from its pioneering beginnings to its modern marvels of flight. I'm Derrick Beeler, and I'm joined first off by Mr. David Rowe. And David, you've got an exciting trip planned this week.
Well, I do, and it's related to our topic for this episode of the podcast. I am traveling to Virginia Beach tomorrow evening for a Wednesday showing of the Frecce Tricolori. I hope I say that right. That Italian is twisting my tongue. But, yeah, going to make a trip out to the coast, try to see these guys before they head back to Italy, and go see a few other things in the area and just make a couple of day trip out of it and just enjoy some aviation in person for a little bit.
You can't go wrong there. And secondly, I'm joined by Mr. Dave Gorman. How's it going, Dave?
Doing great, fellas. How we doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Everything here is good. We're back up and operating full steam ahead with school, so I'm enjoying that. Enjoying the kind of cooler weather here for a few days, so all that's good. Still sorting through pictures from Oshkosh and videos and enjoying other things that people are posting, but really looking forward to talking about our topic tonight. And David, I heard it pronounced several times recently. They say Frecce Tricolori.
All right, then I'll just look at you and go, you say.
I'm completely out on this. I'm stepping aside on this one. You do not want to hear me try to say that.
I don't know if you have to gesture with your hand, but somehow it feels better to gesture that way. And Dave, use all the fingers this time instead of just that one, okay?
Okay, yes, I'll remember that.
So, yeah, this is the Italian national demonstration team, just like we've got our Thunderbirds with the Air Force and the Blue Angels with the Navy, the Red Arrows for the Brits, who are those guys in Brazil? The Smoke Squadron. What do they call them?
Yes.
They fly the Tucanos. Yeah, I saw them several years ago. Our fantastic friends just north of us up in Canada, the Snowbirds, that put on a tremendous show as well. But this is the Italian team, and what's awesome about this is that they are visiting the U.S. currently. It's been many years since they've performed for U.S. audiences. And David, you've got a chance to go see them this week. Where are you going to go see them?
I am traveling to Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. They are going to fly there on the beach on a Wednesday morning of all things. It's like a noon flight. It's kind of unusual, but they've got, I think, one or two more demonstrations left, one in Maryland, and then they are flying back to Italy 1st of September. So this was kind of my last and closest opportunity to go see them, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to travel down and see what's basically the largest flight demonstration team in the world display.
Yeah. So how many planes do these guys fly at once?
10. They, as a matter of fact, I just heard one of the pilots say that they earned a Guinness World Record for the largest aerobatic team with 10 aircraft in their formation.
That is truly fantastic. As my dog walks by squeaking a toy, I apologize for that. If you hear it, it's not me, I promise. This time anyways.
It happens.
You know how it is. So, yeah, a 10 aircraft team is just a little bit larger than Snowbirds, who do 9. The Blues and the Thunderbirds fly with 6. I think the Smoke Squadron does 8, but I'd have to look that up really quickly. But my gosh, what a treat! And was able to see these guys for the first time myself just last month up in Wisconsin. So I'm thrilled that you're going to get the chance not only to get to an air show, but to see such a special demonstration. Like a lot of people, we got to talk about the elephant in the room. Like a lot of people who are of a certain age, this team first got our attention through tragedy. And the Ramstein Air Show in 1988 where the Frecce Tricolori were flying and had a miscalculation during one of their signature maneuvers and a collision, and a couple of pilots were killed, 3 planes affected, and it was about 70, yeah.
It was
That's right.
67 on the ground and 3 in the air.
3 pilots, yeah. Who lost their lives, and the color pictures in the video and just the stories were unbelievably, it was unbelievable devastation and such an awful thing for something that all 3 of us just love, going to air shows. The idea that a tragedy of that immensity could happen was just pretty unthinkable. Frecce Tricolori, up until that point, I don't think I knew anything about them. I mean, it's not that I didn't think they had a team in Italy. I just hadn't heard much about them. And so right. They actually came to the U.S. just a couple years after. I mean, they didn't shut down the team. They went back into training and whatever they had to do with their safety training to work through all that, of course. But then they've been a performing squadron celebrating their 63rd birthday this year. They've been around a long, long time, and
very long time.
Sure is great to celebrate with them.
Absolutely.
I got to tell you real quick, and then I'll throw it over to you there, Mr. Rowe. These guys are just 22 days older than me. Now, say what you want to about the relative wear and tear on that team, and maybe me being the senior member of this team, but I don't know, they're certainly worth the wait.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They came into my consciousness as well after that tragedy. There were, like we said, there were 70 fatalities. There was like 500 injuries. It kind of changed the air show world in general for everyone. In the accident, one of the aircraft was flying toward the crowd. We don't do that anymore. It's not outlawed, but nobody does that. That's just, we don't do it. They've increased the spacing between the demonstration and the crowd. I think there was only 60 or 100 yards at Ramstein, and now it's 1,000 minimum. So there's some basic safety things. And unfortunately, when you have a tragedy, safety comes out of that. But it's been well documented that works. That extra space, don't direct any energy toward the crowd. It's made flying and air shows safer. They were, 1992 was the last time they were in the States. So you start counting the years from then to now, and it's like, well, if I don't go see them now, there's a good chance they may not be back before I am no longer watching air shows. So that's why I'm going to go see them, is because this is one last opportunity. Hopefully not, but we'll see. And
well, there's a large population that understands that, and so when they have performed in North America, and they've been in Canada as well as Oshkosh and Milwaukee and a lot of other stops along the way, they've had huge and very enthusiastic crowds. One of the things I think I enjoyed the most about, because I was able to see them in Oshkosh, they came in and did a fly-in and short performance and landed, and that was great to see. And then they flew over us at the air show in Milwaukee just a couple of days after that. But one of the things that I thought was fantastic was the number of people in the crowd who were so proudly Italian and so absolutely thrilled and excited to wave their flag and paint their face and wear their shirts. And it was extremely important to them to show up and show off their heritage. This is a team that represents Italy, and they were, the American Italians, they are Italian Americans. They showed up for them. So that was cool. And I look forward, David, to your report next time we get together about if you notice that, because we certainly couldn't help but notice the pride, the immense pride that Italians and Italian Americans have in this team.
That is one of the things. I just watched an interview with one of the members of the team. I think he was a former pilot, a member of the team. But that was one of the main points that he was making. Is this is the pride of Italy, that the colors of the streams coming out of the back of the jets are the flag of Italy. As a matter of fact, they are very, very proud that they can make the world's largest state flag in the sky. I believe it's up to 5 miles that they did. It was the retirement of the F-104 Starfighter that they were celebrating, and they set a record with a 5-mile Italian flag in the sky. So, it's a very, very big thing that he pointed out, that he likes coming. He has enjoyed being in America and speaking to all the Italian Americans that are here, because he was talking about, we've had people immigrating to America for a long time, and for them to come out and see their native country, showing off, it's a huge pride for them. And he was very, very obviously proud of the team and being a part of Italy's heritage.
Well, my understanding is that the team members have been treated like conquering heroes wherever they've been as well. They've been very much the toast of the town, and they're meeting people, like you said, sometimes in those autograph lines before and after the show, but also, within the community. So it really is a big public relations thing. It's an arm of the Italian military, but it's also, right to the heart of the pride of Italian Americans. So, and we maybe take for granted the representation perhaps of the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds in terms of how that represents American might, American military, American, the Navy and the Air Force. And those guys do international shows as well. And, that is flying the flag in those other countries and those other locations, and, maybe some far off territories and places where they make appearances. It definitely is. Those international tours are things that the pilots and crew absolutely remember. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Dave, talking about the crew, this jet is unusual in that it's a 2-seater, right?
That is correct. It is a trainer. It's not a fighter. It's a trainer to get into the fighters. The way the pilot was talking about it is everyone in the Italian Air Force flies fighters, and then they branch out into other realms of aviation. So they all train going through this, apparently, and this is their main aircraft to train, and it's a 2-seater. One of the interesting things is if you look at the demonstration jets, they don't have wing tanks. The trainers that they fly in the military do have wing tanks for extra, legs to move around. Because these are they're flying tight demonstrations. They don't put tanks on the wingtips so that it doesn't obscure their vision, doesn't, getting close to the other aircraft. So, but yeah, it's basically a trainer, and but it's a very fast airplane. I think it's.
And we should mention this is the Aermacchi 330 or MB 339.
Correct.
And the second Aermacchi we've featured here on History of Aviation, right?
Yeah.
A little bit faster than the last one.
Right. Well, that they have been in business for a long time, and they have made a lot of great airplanes. As a matter of fact, the next aircraft in line for the Tricolori is another Aermacchi aircraft. Was it 545, I believe, is what they're moving to next. 345. I'm sorry, M-345. It's kind of delayed. I think they were supposed to have already switched over, but they haven't yet. But kind of like the snowbirds in their little tutors that they've been in forever and a day.
Been around for a long, long time. So
yeah,
I really can't say enough about what a treat it was to see these guys and knowing all that's on the line for them. Like I say, when you come in and visiting another country and representing Italy, so the immense pride was fantastic. But beyond all of that, these guys are incredible pilots.
Absolutely.
And I have seen many jet demonstration teams, several of them, and that Brazilian smoke squadron, they're flying the turboprop Takano, so I haven't seen a whole lot of large propeller-driven demonstration squadrons like this. But these guys with the color smoke is incredible, and it is emotional. I got emotional watching when they hit the smoke the first time. They actually on takeoff they hit it really good. Yes. While they're firing up and getting ready to start their roll, and to see all that smoke, and I mean it's holding its own. It's not becoming just a cloud of various colors. The red and the white and the green are still easy to see. And then when they're actually making their fly pass and they hit the smoke, it's emotional. And the Italians were cheering. They were so proud. So it's dramatic. And they fly some pretty tight formations. They hold formation really, really well. Obvious pros at what they do.
Absolutely. The pilot that I was listening to was talking about, so when you're selected to join the team, they have a 1-year training period where they watch and observe and, learn everything they can before they actually climb in and start doing the full aerobatics displays with the team. So they've got a year of training under their belt, and not to mention the fact that all of these pilots are, top of their class. They have been, excellent pilots for 6, 8, 10 years. So they're all very excellent pilots. I think they fly up to like 250 hours a year, with about 80% of that time being in aerobatic training or in demonstrations. So they're flying a whole lot and a whole lot of aerobatics. And you're right, they really are a tight group. They put on a great display. One of the things that I'm looking forward to seeing is this team breaks out into 2 smaller teams. So you have like a first flight of 5. I should mention each aircraft is called a pony. They call it Pony 1 through Pony 10. So the first 5 pony aircraft section breaks out, and they do certain training the flight by themselves. And then the next 4, what was that called? The Small Diamond, I think is what he called it, Little Diamond. And they fly another routine. And then you have the solo pilot. That's how you get to the 10. And then they come back together, and, that separation and coming together, and then just this giant gaggle of aircraft that cuts through the sky so elegantly is just, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Having seen the snowbirds, they fly in a similar way. The Red Arrows as well. Big group, slow turning, big group, left and right, up and down. It's a little different than, the Blues and the Thunderbirds, where it's fast and it's aggressive, and the Tricolori are more elegant, I think is a good way to describe them.
I think that's an excellent way to describe it. You don't have the high speed, head on, face to face, opposite end passes that you see with the American jet teams. I didn't miss them because, again, it was pretty emotional. I mean, they really hold those formations, and sometimes you're thinking, like, is that guy in the middle? Is he okay? Does he ever get a little claustrophobic? You were talking earlier about those tanks and how they don't have the wingtip tanks for their aerial demonstration. These guys, when they're flying, we should always mention this. Usually there's one guy who's looking ahead and everybody else is forming off of him or other planes. And so their attention is on a spot on a plane, and they're holding that position relative to a plane that's holding position relative to another plane. And I mean, that's
in a 3-dimensional
amazing.
Environment. I mean, we're not talking going down the road. We're talking 3 dimensions, up, down, left, right. They are twisting and turning. It's impressive to see that amount of aircraft in the sky together.
I a couple of years ago bought a scanner, and it's not a 2-way scanner. It's just for me to listen in. And I take it to air shows, and oftentimes there are other people around me that have them. But having access to that and listening to the jet teams and how they communicate and how they they set up their next maneuvers. I mean, obviously they practice their routines, hundreds of times. So they do the same routine most every time. I mean, actually, they do mix it up a little bit depending on whether they're going to do a high, low, or medium demonstration. But hearing the commander calling out the maneuvers and calling out speeds and things like that is really fascinating, and that's a great window to enjoying an air show and enjoying a team like this. So sure recommend that. Yeah, Derrick, exactly. Maybe we can get a sponsor with a company that makes scanners.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do a little research on that. If you're listening and you'd like us to talk all about your wonderful scanners, I'd love to, because I'm not going to say the one I have. I like it, but I'll like it more if they give me one for free. Is that wrong?
That sounds like you.
It does sound like me, actually, doesn't it?
Well, and that what you're talking about is something that the general air show audience doesn't really hear. It's kind of behind the scenes, and it's kind of letting you in on how the frosting is made on the cake. How they make it look so good. And they don't speak in full sentences either. It's usually grunts and short little phrases, and it's a different way of speaking, but everybody that's listening in that team knows exactly what that commander is asking for.
And that's something that you can't get with, we listen to Live ATC, the app, that's just your basic communication between commercial and private and the tower and all that. So you can't even get this on that, correct? I mean,
no, you've got to tune in.
You need the actual scanner. You can't do it online.
There is an AirBoss channel that you have to be hooked into, and then there's a team channel as well. So you got to search those things out.
Most of those frequencies are available out there, and oftentimes the AirBoss at one show uses the same frequency as the AirBoss at another show. So that's a pretty standard channel, but the teams often have different. I know, like with the Blue Angels, the solo pilots have different channels that they use from the rest of the team and things like that, just because you don't want everybody trying to talk at once.
They're concentrating. They're really paying attention to what they're doing.
Well, that's it. Well, speaking of paying attention, Dave, I have a feeling that you can give us a rundown, because these guys materialize as Frecce Tricolori, which means the tricolored arrows.
Correct. Okay. Well, I heard them called 3-colored arrows and tricolored arrows. So there's a translation there that one or the other is correct.
I got you. Well, whatever it is, they certainly their planes are painted up in the 3 colors of the Italian flag at the tail and everything. But they haven't always flown the Aermacchis, and they haven't always been Frecce Tricolori. Before that, they went through a couple of different iterations after. Actually, I think before World War II, and then they stopped, of course, because they had some things to take care of. And then they came back. I read briefly that they were flying Mustangs and Spitfires or something like that.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I did make a good list of their history, because I was not aware that there was so much history before the actual team that we're talking about here.
Do I know you or what?
They started in the 1930 at Udine Campoformido Airport.
I think I had some of that one time at a nice little restaurant. It's got a white sauce.
I think he just likes you saying Italian words.
Yeah, it's pretty. I'm butchering it, but anyway, Colonel Reno Corso Foggier was commander of the first wing, and they had 5 Fiat CR-20 biplanes. They put together, and they had a wing day, and they flew aerobatics. So that was the very first Italian demonstration, long before they were known as the Frecce Tricolori. Apparently, at that first one, they did the bomb maneuver, which is one of the standards that most of the teams do today, is the bomb maneuver. So before World War II, from 32, they were using a Breda BA-19 biplane. In 1934, they transitioned to a Fiat CR30. In 36, they moved to the Fiat CR32. So they were progressing up until World War II. Obviously, nothing, no demonstrations in the 40s on the World War II end. When they did come back after the war, that's when we get the Mustangs and the Spitfires.
Gotcha.
Apparently, they, what was it? 3 Spitfires, September of 1947. So they started another team then. By 1950, they had moved to jets, and they were flying the Cavallino Ramparte, otherwise known as the Prancing Horse. 4 pilots from the 4th Wing, and they flew the de Havilland 100 Vampire jet, which, if you're familiar with the Vampire, it's got the twin boom and a single tail in the back, or not a single tail, but a split tail. And so they were flying Vampires. We get to 1953, and they get to the Guzio, or the Wriggle. This was by the 5th Wing, and they flew the Republic F-84G Thunderjet. So now they've moved up to a bigger, more modern jet. They continue on to 1957. They move up to the F-86 Sabre, flying out of Turin Airport, and they actually displayed at the Paris Air Show that year. So they were getting some international, attention at this point. They were coming out of Italy. We moved to, Davoli Rossi, the Red Devils, and the Lancieri Neri, the Black Lancers. This was the 6th Fighter Wing. More of the Republic F-84 Thunderstreaks. We get to 1959. They've moved to the F-84F Thunderstreak again. This was during the 1960 Summer Olympics in Rome. So again, another, it's in Italy, but it's a worldwide knowledge. People are watching and seeing the Olympics. We get to 61. They're in their Sabres. The 4th Air Brigade, they did an air show there. 313th Aerobatic Training Group was established. So this is sort of 61 is when what we consider the Frecce Tricolori really started, was in 61. They were in the Sabre. Let's see. This was when they moved up to 9 aircraft. So in 1963. So that's when we start getting the big wing effect. And by 1964, they moved to the Fiat G91 Pan fighter bombers. And then in 1982, they moved to the MB399 Aeromachis. So from 1982 until now, they have flown the Aeromachi. So there's your quick and dirty history of the development of the Tricolori.
I like it.
That was a long-winded bit. Sorry.
No, I mean, it's good to, again, have all that history. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, there was a whole lot about this team I knew nothing about. And in fact, the thing that stayed with me the most was, again, that horrible accident in 1988. So having seen them and been so impressed with their beautiful flying, and knowing more about this history, it's great. And I really would urge any Americans who are in the Norfolk area, make an effort to get over to Virginia Beach in Norfolk and check these guys out. Dave, where are they flying at?
They're flying off the beach, so it's literally Virginia Beach. They've they haven't closed. I think it's about 20 blocks of the beach they have cordoned off for this. So they're going to have the Tricolori there. They're going to have a F-18, F-22. They're going to have a beaching aircraft, or not an aircraft, a hovercraft come up and beach on there. It should be a very interesting show. Oh, and they've added a Mustang and a Spitfire to the show as well. So it's going to be a great show.
Now,
it's just,
they still have time to add a Corsair, right?
Well, I would hope so. Maybe that, somebody's got one local that can bring it in for me. But if not, I will go search it out.
Well, maybe Derrick or I could call in a few favors and see what we could do,
You never know.
No, never know.
I mean, in Navy town like Norfolk, somebody's got to have one somewhere, right?
Well, there's a lot of history in that area, so surely somebody's got one locally.
Man, that's for sure.
If there is somebody with one, there's going to be a couple of guys standing around the folded wing, just
Always,
looking.
How does that work? How does that work exactly?
Yeah, it's a mystery. It is a mystery to be solved.
They get transfixed. That's it.
Well, I'm guilty of it. I've done it myself.
So all of this, I mean, this big event coming up, it's all going to be on Airfile, right?
Oh,
yes. We can enjoy it through you eventually at some point through Airfile.
Well, that is true. I am a bit slow producing things. As a matter of fact, I'm right now putting out Thunder over Louisville videos that I shot back in April. I've got 2 months. Every Friday, there'll be a new Thunder over Louisville video coming out. And
was that April of 2023 or?
No, it was this past April.
Okay, just making sure.
Just a few months back, not that many. But yeah, as quick as I can get this one out for the Tricolori, I will get that one out just because everybody wants to see it, and I want everybody to see it for me. So should be a great video. I'm looking forward to getting.
You may have to edit out some of your "oh man," because you'll be excited seeing them. They're tremendous, and to all of our Italian friends, we're
absolutely
sure grateful that they brought their team over and shared it with us. What a treat.
Yeah. Well, I really think the crowds will, you'll be picking up the oohs and the ahs from the crowd as they go by. So I'm expecting a big crowd to be there.
And perfection takes time for sure, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I do have a little of a perfection streak, but we'll get it done.
That's what makes it great. And Dave Gorman, what have you got going on your social media there?
Holy smokes. Well, I put up, 40 or 50 short videos from Oshkosh that are still being enjoyed and corrected, which is always fun. I accused one plane of being a Cessna 172 on floats, and right on somebody said, that's bigger than a 172.
82.
No, it was a 206 turbo.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, that's why I filmed it, was because I heard the turbo as it was going by. But I was looking at it on my phone when I was saying what it was. And if I had just gone to full screen on the computer, I could have very easily seen the tail. I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah.
Me and those private planes, I just, Bruce teases me about, there's a Mooney, because years ago I was like, oh, wait, the Mooney's tail goes, it's kind of canted forward there. And so he thinks it's hilarious to point out every frickin' Mooney there is. So
if they were all bonanzas.
The loony with the Mooney.
Yeah, if they were all bonanzas, we'd be in good shape. But you can spot a bonanza 10 miles away.
It'd be much, as long as it's a a
Well, true. Which not all are. Not all are. That's true.
No, they are not. But just be aware that there is somebody out there who knows more than you do when you put your information down on a picture, because invariably somebody's going to correct you for, no, that's not what that is. It happens all the time.
Well, I practiced humility, and I thanked the guy for his information and said, yeah, thank you so much, and let me fix that. So
I will guarantee
he was good about it. He didn't call me a Yahoo or anything.
I'll guarantee you one thing. If it's a bonanza, it's going to be a doctor or a lawyer coming in.
They certainly have bought their share. Yeah, they certainly bought their share of them, right?
Absolutely. I enjoyed it, guys.
Yeah, great. Looking forward to seeing the team, and it was good to know their backstory before I go.
Enjoy making all of us jealous. Dave Gorman is what he's doing right here. Do you see it?
I am so happy that he gets to make us jealous, because the poor man has had to sit and listen to talk about shows for a long time, and so he's getting out to go see one, and you deserve beautiful weather and gorgeous flight. So I love to see. I love to see it through your eyes with video and your pictures. Tremendous photographer and everything. You really do a lot for the aviation community of Upper East Tennessee. Annoyingly so. You spend way too much time looking through the lens of a camera, but God love you. I wish I had.
It brings us all a lot of enjoyment.
It certainly does. The man's got an eye for it. That's for sure.
Thank you. I enjoy doing it, so that's why I do it. But I'm glad to see others enjoying it.
Where do you do that at, Mr. Rowe? What's the name of that website?
It is Aerophile, AEROWEPHILE.com. Come check me out.
You did not give me time to put Aerophile up on the screen. Anyway.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I talked too long about other stuff, so I was just kind of moving us along there.
There's a lot going on. Hey, I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, there's a lot of planes in this team, so that's how it works.
Well, I tell you, there is, yeah.
Teamwork and dream work, right?
You got it.
Absolutely right.
Well, David, give us a call or a text on the road tomorrow if you need to. Just check in. You got a bit of a haul, but
yes,
man,
I do.
It'll be worth it.
Yes, it will be. So looking forward to it. So I'll be back with stories.
Well, enjoy the colors.
Definitely. That is unusual. Nobody else does it like them.
Very true. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok for updates and more contents. All social media links are listed in the description below. Thank you for flying with us on the History of Aviation podcast. We'll see you next time.
This is Joe Morse. You are listening to the History of Aviation podcast with Derrick Beeler, David Rowe, and David Gorman.